Okay, we're both going to introduce the next speaker. We have Ashley Holt coming up next, y'all. She Means Business magazine. Have y'all heard that magazine before? Yeah. She is incredible. I can't wait for you to hear her story. When I first met her, I just have to say, I looked at her and I'm like, gosh, you are incredible. I think my words were, you're like the whole package. Beauty, brains. Like, I feel like you're hiding behind your magazine. I said, why aren't you on the cover of your magazine? And something clicked. Now she's been on stages. She has got a best-selling book. Ashley Holt, come on out here, girl.
I remember that night. I was on my hands and knees crawling. The front door was wide open, and I was desperately screaming for someone to call 911. That night, he was arrested for domestic violence, and I dropped the charge. Not because it didn't happen, but because I didn't yet believe I was worthy of more. Did you know it takes an average of 7 attempts before a woman leaves an abusive relationship for good? 7. And that isn't her weakness, but it's evidence of how conditioned we've become to doubt our own value. 1 in 3 women will experience physical violence from their partner, and every day, more than 20,000 phone calls flood domestic violence hotlines. And over half of those will never make it to conviction. And not because the abuse isn't real, but because so often women fear retaliation, they depend financially on their abuser, or desperately cling to the hope that something will change. For me, it was all of the above. That moment, my 911 moment, it wasn't a confidence problem. It was a self-worth crisis. You don't have to experience abuse to know what it feels like to question your worth. Maybe for you, it's not speaking up in a meeting or dimming your light in a relationship. Maybe it's pretending to be okay when really you're exhausted from overproving yourself. We've been conditioned to think that our worth is something we have to earn through perfection and performance. But our worth is not something that has to be earned. But it is something we have to choose. Stories like mine aren't rare, unfortunately, and they reveal something so much bigger. My story isn't unique, and that's the problem. Beneath the statistics, beneath the silence of so many untold stories, lies a culture obsessed with confidence while ignoring self-worth. Today, confidence is marketed as a cure-all. Wear this brand, follow this trend, fake it till you make it. We've created a $500 billion confidence industry that profits every time we doubt ourselves. So I want to take a poll. Who here, raise your hand, if you've ever bought something in hopes it would make you feel more confident? Now keep them up. Now leave them raised if it was sustainable and it actually worked. That's the confidence industry. So now that we've exposed this confidence industry, how do we create a self-worth economy? Do we really know the difference between confidence and self-worth? I didn't. Then I took a deep dive and I realized confidence, it's external. Self-worth, internal. You can look confident and still feel unworthy. Confidence is not a foundation, self-worth is. And without self-worth, confidence, it collapses. We don't have a confidence problem. We have a self-worth crisis. The day I left, nothing around me had changed, but something within me had. The day I left wasn't the day life got easier, but it was the day I chose to be stronger. Transformation, of course, isn't instant, but it did become a daily choice for me to do 3 things: rewire my limiting beliefs, reclaim my voice that had been silenced for years, and rebuild a new life based on my truth. At that point, what I thought was destruction was actually a reconstruction. And it led to something so much more. She means business. Not just a brand, not just a magazine, but a movement to amplify women's voices and visibility. Born from the ashes of my rock bottom, but proof that even life's darkest moments can be a foundation and a launching pad for impact and purpose. The day I left, I had no idea where life was going to take me. No friends, no family. I was isolated, $50 in my bank account, and a single mom of 2. A single mom of 2 beautiful daughters. Rock bottom. But at that rock bottom, I made 3 choices that became the bridge from the destruction to this new reconstruction. One was radical accountability. I had to ask myself, why am I accepting this? 2, radical awareness, because you can't change what you're not willing to see. And 3 was gratitude, because even at rock bottom, now I got to create a new life. I got to start over. So how do we create this new self-worth economy? I want you to take a vow to yourself. V, value your truth. The good, the bad, the ugly, the messy. O, own your worth. Don't settle. And W, walk unapologetically in that power. And when you take that vow to yourself, you're intentionally creating a self-worth economy. The day I left, I thought I was leaving behind my whole world. But really, what I was leaving behind was the version of me that didn't think she was enough. What I didn't know then was healing comes in many layers, and rebuilding wasn't the last layer. I had to release the shame. I had to release the shame that maybe it was my fault, I should have done something different, or that the past had to define me. Today, I'm talking about a self-worth crisis. But when we rewire our beliefs, when we reclaim our voice, when we rebuild our life and release any shame around our truth, we get to create a movement of women rising in self-worth. And when we rise in self-worth, we don't only radically transform our own life, we truly change the world. And this movement, she means business.